All right, so now we're going to look at some specific pests, aphids, weeds, and fungal diseases, how to deal with them if they arrive, because this is the season. So aphids, I will say in the Bay Area, because of our temperate climate, aphids tend to be an all year round problem, but you might have a bigger issue in the spring because aphids are attracted to new plant growth. So aphids come in a variety of species. They come in many different colors. There's red, brown, gray, green, yellow. So they could look wildly different. Some even have wings and some don't. And different species like different plants. So you might see aphids on your tomato plant, but don't worry about the plant next to it. If it's a different kind of, if it's not a tomato, if it's like a kale, there are going to be different aphids on that. So you don't necessarily need to worry about one species jumping to another plant, unless they're the same kind of plant. They are attracted to new plant growth, and we're going to keep that in mind when we do our controls. And then remember that ants protect aphids. So aphids excrete this material called honeydew. It's like a sticky, sweet material. That's a good hint. If you see that if your leaves are sticky, that's a usually good sign that aphids or some kind of sucking insect is on your plant. Ants like to harvest that honeydew. So ants will actually protect aphids from their natural predators, which are ladybugs, one of their many predators, very commonly known ladybugs though. So we're going to take all that information with us when we go to our controls. So because aphids are attracted to new growth, we again are not going to use our synthetic fertilizers, because when synthetic fertilizers are going to cause our plants to shoot out a lot of new growth all at once. We're going to use organic or slow release fertilizers. We're not going to over prune, so be very careful when you're pruning. If you over prune, pruning encourages plant growth. So if you over prune, again, you're going to have a lot of new growth and a stressed out plant. We're going to manage our ants, because again, they will protect the aphids from their natural predators. So we're going to use, say if you have aphids on a tree and that you can see ants crawling up the tree in a line, you're going to take a material called either Tanglefoot or any kind of sticky insect glue. There's lots of products out there. You're going to wrap a piece of paper around the trunk, and then we're going to put the sticky glue on that piece of paper. We're not putting the glue ever directly on the tree trunk. A really simple and non-toxic way to manage aphids is to just spray the plant off with a strong stream of water. Again, aphids are sucking insects, so their mouth parts are like straws. So when they're drinking from the plant, their mouth parts are kind of injected into the plant, either the stem or the leaves or wherever they're eating from. So when you spray them off with water, their body goes that way, but their mouth parts actually stay in the plant, so it kills them. It's kind of, people have compared it to kind of like a tick when you pull off a tick. So you're going to have to probably spray a lot, or not a lot, but multiple times, depending on the amount of aphids you have. But it will knock back the population a lot. You can also just completely prune off really infected branches. So if you have one branch that just has a ton of aphids on it, just clip it, put it in a trash bag, and throw it away. We're also going to, as I said, we're going to invite ladybugs and other predators by creating a habitat that they like with diverse plants, because more ladybugs will eat those aphids. It's also one thing to remember that a few aphids are actually good in the garden because they do provide food for ladybugs. So if you've completely eradicated the aphid population, however you do that, you're actually taking away ladybugs' food and other predators' food, so they might leave your yard altogether. So again, that's another reason we evaluate damage. If a couple of aphids on your plant, they're not going to damage your plant too much. Maybe we can just tolerate them, hope that the aphids keep them, or the ladybugs keep the population in check. And I didn't mention earlier, but aphids actually They do cause some damage. They'll cause like leaf stippling or leaf curl. Um, Small to medium infestations don't really cause a ton of damage to plants. It might slow the growth. It's really the large populations that you do need to be concerned about. But again, it's not going to be it's not going to be devastating to your plant if it has a few aphids on it, especially if your plant's healthy. And then you can also, if you have tried all of those other things and you still have a pretty solid aphid population, you can consider insecticidal soaps or horticultural oils as a spray, remembering only spraying where the aphids are, spraying in the evening, and being very careful with how much you're spraying. And then, as I said, you can also consider dormant sprays in the wintertime. If you do have aphid problems, say on your roses right now, like and any other deciduous plants that you have, maybe consider spraying an all seasons oil on your plant in the wintertime next season. What that does is the spray oil will smother the eggs that are overwintering, or the aphids that are overwintering in your plant, and will reduce the amount that hatch out in the spring.